Hi, welcome to Book Club. I'm C.M. Vasquez, author of The Birdcage Society Falling, the first in an ongoing psychological mystery series. Today, I'm going to be talking about Chapter 7 of Darkly Dreaming Dexter. This chapter starts off with Dexter dreaming about immobilizing someone, duct taping their mouth, and holding a knife up, ready to plunge it into the victim. But before Dexter can do the deed, he realizes that the hand holding the knife is not his hand. When he realizes this is the point that he wakes up. And he says that he doesn't usually remember his dreams, but when he does, he doesn't assign any particular importance to them. Now, I can't help but wonder if it was the prostitute killer that he was imagining himself as during his dream, and basically putting himself in the killer's shoes. I do want to point out how the beginning of this chapter has brought the title of the book into play. Darkly Dreaming, basically. And I had assumed that this was referring to Dexter's daydreaming, basically his thoughts as the dark passenger kind of infiltrates his thoughts throughout the day. But I am happy to see that there's actual dreaming going on as well. I think also that during his daily speech and actions, when he's trying to hide himself, that could be part of the dreaming as well. But I think it could be either one. By the same logic, though, everything outside his thoughts could be considered the dream. I'm surprised, but again, also delighted that Jeff Lindsay included actual dreams in here as well. Let me know what you think, though. What makes up the book title? Daydreams, his thoughts, his actions, all three, or perhaps neither. So in the book, early on as well, Deb calls Dexter and invites him to breakfast at a regular spot that they usually reserve for special occasions. When he gets there, he greets the waitress, which, come to find out, Deb and Dexter both are very familiar with this waitress because they've been coming there since they were kids. She's been there the entire time, but she doesn't seem very pleasant. Dexter kisses her on the cheek, and she scolds him and calls him by the name Fagile. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I actually had to look up this word because Dexter doesn't provide any other context for it. He just kind of plays it off with the waitress. Basically just asks her, "Does that mean you're going to marry me?" Something along those lines. And she just kind of rolls her eyes and walks away. But I looked up the term, and it's Yiddish, and it's actually a derogatory term for a gay man. Suffice to say, this old lady does not like Dexter. I was confused, though, as to why showing affection would be considered gay. I assume she thinks that it's emasculating, but that just provokes even more questions and confusion, because being gay doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be masculine. So I don't like this woman. Bad things I wish upon this woman. So during the conversation with Deb, it's revealed that the body parts in the trash bags show signs of cell crystallization, which means they were in a very cold environment. Deb tells Dexter that she's been invited to the 72-hour briefing for the prostitute killer case, which is fantastic news because it means she hasn't been fully shut out of the case yet, as both of them fear. And much to LaGuerta's dismay, I'm sure. Also, there is a nickname now floating around for Deb because she has openly disagreed with LaGuerta about there being a witness for the case, which I assume is LaGuerta's doing. Deb asked Dexter for help again so she can get a leg up on the case and potentially get as far away from this nickname as possible, because a nickname like this could potentially end any opportunity that she has for advancement. And the nickname undermines her intelligence and uses her femininity as a weapon, which I believe is further evidence to support that it was LaGuerta's doing. And I did say previously that by Deb bringing this up to LaGuerta, that it would cause a blowback or consequences of some kind, and it appears that this nickname is the consequence of that. During the conversation that Deb and Dexter are having at the table, Dexter naturally goes inward to his thoughts, something that he does quite often, and thinks about the killer and the dream that he had. He thinks he might try cold on his own victims in a dark, narrow place. He's caught off guard by thinking that the place must be narrow, because he can't think of any other place it came from besides his dream, but it feels right to Dexter. So he comes to the conclusion that the killer must be using a refrigerated truck. He explains to Deb why the cold truck, but intentionally omits why it needs to be a narrow space, which, to be fair, other than his dream, since he isn't really sure where it came from, trying to answer would only cause more questions from Deb and make her even more suspicious of him than she already is. Now, of course, we know Deb loves Dexter, but it has been mentioned in previous chapters that sometimes Deb looks at him a certain way, like she's trying to figure him out. There's something off, and she can't quite put her finger on it. This is confirmed when, at the end of the chapter, she reaches across the table, squeezes his hand, and says that she worries about how he comes up with this stuff. He tells her all she needs to worry about is finding the refrigerated truck. Nice deflection, Dex. And that is also what ends chapter 7. So it was a relatively short chapter, about 10 pages. Only a little bit of information was revealed, like Deb's nickname, her still struggling on any part of this case, which I'm glad that Dexter is helping her out, but I also think that if she wants to become a homicide detective, that she needs to do a bit of detecting on her own and maybe come up with some leads by herself. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Dexter is going to be helping her a lot, not only on her journey into homicide, but when she finally makes it as well, because I think she will. I have hope, and I think she's going to make it. But I will see you next time on Friday for chapter 8. Bye.